Hi, this is Jennifer Davis with Chocolate Butter, and this is Hey Bay City.
So, Jennifer, I want to get to talking to you because I've looked forward to talking to you for a really long time.
Yes.
But before we talk, I want to try this chocolate butter.
Yes,
So-
help yourself.
Okay, so I'm going to reach over here. And while I'm opening this up, tell me just a little bit, give me a 101 of this product.
Okay. Well, what you have there, that is my Snickerdoodle body butter.
Ooh.
Yes, that is. I brought you Snickerdoodle, and then I brought you a sample of one of my new scents, which is cinnamon. Snickerdoodle by far has been one of my most popular scents. When it first started, it was going to be like a Christmas seasonal, but it was such a big hit that I told people, I was like, okay, if I can still get what I need to make it year round, I'll keep it.
Yeah.
So I ended up adding it to my permanent collection.
It smells good.
Thank you.
And especially we're recording this around the Christmas season.
Yes.
It's got kind of the warm, like mom used to make cookies.
Yes.
I love this.
Yes, and it's funny though because Snickerdoodle is my favorite cookie.
Oh yeah.
And my mom bakes, and that's like one of my favorite things that she makes. So
I love
hence therefore the Snickerdoodle body butter.
I love this. So I am not in the skincare world, although I should be. Is there a difference between something like a body butter and lotion?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Oh yeah. So something that I noticed like right away, like getting into this industry and just like over the years using different stuff myself, when you pick up lotion to use it, whether it's a pump or just like a bottle you shake, you use like 4 pumps or you shake that thing like 4 or 5 times, and you're used to using heaping handful. Yeah. And that's like just for like your arms. And then you got to do it again for your legs. Like you have to use more product to get that moisture. And something I've noticed too, it doesn't matter high quality to cheaper lotions. It still didn't last all day.
You still got to dump a bunch on there.
Yeah, and you have to use a lot. And it doesn't last. Like you put it on getting ready for work in the morning, come afternoon, you can tell sometimes you're reapplying stuff.
Yeah.
So with body butter, my product, for instance, a little goes a long way.
I noticed that right away. Like I put probably a dime size amount on my hands, and if my hands are completely covered, I know that that's going to stay there for a long time. That's cool.
Yeah, and then like a lot of people, they'll go to like scoop out a lot, and it's like, wait, like, but it's like, I gotta tell them, like, you're not used to, using something that you don't have to use a handful.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little goes a long way, and it lasts like all day too.
Yeah, and so like as far as the ingredients in here, but you were talking, I stalked you a little bit on the website, and you were talking about it being organic, it being natural, and on top of it, you make it yourself. This isn't something that you order and then you slap your label on. So tell me a little bit about the ingredients in here.
Yeah, well, that was that actually was a huge, big, important thing for me. I did not want to do like white or black label and just like put my name on it.
Yeah.
My products are very personal to me. So that is why like they are literally handmade. I make them. I have not gotten to the point yet to trust showing someone else how to make it because it's just like I want the control of that. So as I know how to measure the things out and just like my process. But yeah, I use organic shea butter and organic coconut oil. And then everything is scented with organic essential oils. And then also something I added to my line like about a year in was lip gloss. And again, my lip gloss is 100% organic, and it's flavored with organic fruit extracts. Yeah, so that was definitely a big thing for me because like I was diagnosed with lupus, and I wanted to try to eliminate chemicals where I can in my life. And looking at different like organic products in the store, online, everything is so expensive because like they slap that label organic. And they're like, oh, we can add $10 to this.
Right.
Personally, I can't do that. I got to the point where like I was buying things and I'm like, this is a lot, like this adds up really quick. I'm a single mom. I got a budget. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to sit here and spend like $200 a month on just like skincare products. So that's where I got to the point where I was like, I could probably do this myself. So I started researching I joke with people all the time and say, like, I'm a lifetime college student because I've been in college like ever and a day.
Yeah.
I just take like random classes and stuff.
Right.
So I like to read. I like to research. So I started looking into it myself, and I was like, I think I can do this. So it was a little trial and error. It started as a hobby like maybe 5-6 years ago, but like life happens, you get busy.
Right.
But then after my lupus diagnosis, that's when I really got back into it. Plus, all this was during COVID. So everything was shut down and there was nothing to do. So it was kind of like something that kept me busy. And it was therapeutic as well because things that were going on in my life at the time. And it definitely, I'm very fortunate that I was able to come up with a recipe that I love. And then whenever I come out with something, I have other people try it too before I release it because, what I might like or what I might think is perfect, someone else might have a flaw with it. So I do take other opinions into effect when it comes to like creating my product.
Let's back up quick and talk about the lupus diagnosis because it's interesting to me here in 2020, the world is of course dealing with this pandemic and what is this thing that we've never experienced before. But that's also around the same time you fell ill and started. What were kind of the initial signs for you to say, hey, something is not quite right. There's a serious issue going on beyond just I don't feel good.
To kind of like start off how everything happened, I went through a 7.5-year relationship that was very toxic. Right at the start of the pandemic, when everything started to shut down, is when I left that relationship. So not only was I going through leaving a long-term relationship, I was going through moving. We were going through the pandemic. Like there was just a lot going on in my life at one time. A lot
of life happening at one time.
Yeah. So during the midst of all this, I started having like this crazy joint pain. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm moving. I've been picking up stuff. I went to IKEA and bought a whole bunch of stuff. So I just kept chucking it up to me moving and putting stuff together, things like that. So here it is like 6 weeks later, and I'm still having this horrible joint pain. So I was like, ooh, maybe like I actually like hurt myself putting something together.
Right.
So I went to my doctor and she was like, oh, you might just have like a muscle strain. But she was like, we haven't done blood work in a while, so let's do that. And I'll have you do some home exercises and we'll bring you back in a month. So when I went back, she was like, well, we got your blood work back. There were a lot of abnormal things in your blood work. And I told her, like, in the midst of waiting to come back to see her, I was kind of doing like my own research, which I work in healthcare. So I've been in healthcare on the billing administrative side for about 14 years. So I started doing my own research, and I was looking at things like rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. And then I actually know a couple of people that suffer from lupus. So when I went to go see my doctor, she did say there's certain markers that they look for when it comes to autoimmune diseases, which lupus is an autoimmune disease, and mine were elevated. So she said, what we're going to do now is, she was like, I have to refer you to a specialist for a definite diagnosis.
And maybe this is an opportunity to give me a quick 101 of lupus. What exactly is lupus?
All right. So what it is it's an autoimmune disease. Your immune system is pretty much like overactive, and it attacks itself. It attacks your body. So that is what causes flares and things like that. And you can go into remission with lupus after certain treatments and things like that. Yeah, but it typically takes quite a while to do that. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. And something I was confused about myself was, okay, if it's an autoimmune, like talking to these doctors, obviously I was probably born with it. Why now all of a sudden,
that's true.
Like here I am 35 and finally diagnosed with this. Like what is...
Surprise, you have an autoimmune disease.
Yeah. It's like, where is this coming from? And the doctor broke it down because actually my family doctor referred me to U of M. So that's where my lupus specialist is. And she was telling me what you were going through in your life, the high stress and COVID, all that. She was like, that is what triggered an active flare. So she said, you've had this dormant all the time. But then when all that happened, it triggered an active flare. And that's why I was diagnosed with it.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, I was like, okay, so it makes a lot of sense, but it affects your whole entire body, like your blood, it can cause migraines, it can leave lesions, like internally, externally, because I have the one that affects from the inside out. So it affects all your organs, your skin, things like that. So there is medication that they put you on right away to try to prevent any organ damage or like prolonged damage that can't be reversed. So I've gone through like a few different treatments to try to get it under control, because once I was finally diagnosed, it was pretty severe. So I actually did a year and a half of chemotherapy pills, that same side effects though that typically happen with chemotherapy. I didn't have as much nausea and vomiting, but still like the situations where like I lost my hair. So I decided just to cut it off and start wearing extensions all the time and things like that. And so it was about a year and a half of that. And once we did that and it didn't work, I was able to get approved for a new injection that came out that I take myself once a week. And so I've been doing that for just over a year now, and it just started like really kicking in. Okay. So yeah, so fortunately, between my regimen from my doctor and the things that I've done myself, I've kind of gotten it under control finally. But in the midst of all this, like trying to figure out like what medication's gonna work, all that, I went to a pain specialist and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia on top of that.
Oh.
So, and
double duty.
Yeah, that also too is autoimmune.
Right.
So now that they figured out that I have that too, they were able to get me on a steady regimen, and this is the best I've felt since being initially diagnosed. So I'm extremely grateful for that.
I mean, absolutely unfortunate that you've had to deal with this, but feeling good that you are starting to feel good as well. And so chocolate butter was really kind of an expression of this, like what you were going through with lupus and trying to be like figure out, okay, how can I help myself, and also this relationship. Why specifically skincare?
Well, skincare has always kind of been close to my heart because I have sensitive skin. I've always had sensitive skin. I was that kid that would go play outside and break out in hives. Like I was
really?
I was allergic to like all weeds, grass, everything. So I've always been like that. My mother growing up always used certain detergents only because she would like try something else and I would break out in hives. And then I was actually allergy tested when I was 8 years old. I have a food allergy. Like I have a few food allergies actually. And then I have like a list of like so many environmental things too that I'm allergic to. So it's always been something that I've been cautious about. So because of that, I've only used certain things over the years anyway. And then like my mother, she has a little bit of sensitive skin, and my daughter as well. So, and especially like when you have a kid, if you have anything going on with yourself, you look at that for your child too. Yep. It's like, okay, well, I'm sensitive and now she's like a baby. So of course I'm going to be super like careful with her. So again, there was only certain things that I used. So when it came to going the organic route and making things, it started out just for me and for my family. I really was very strict on what I use, because like I tell people, I'm not just selling this like as a business, you know, to make money. I want to help people. And I tell people, I use this on myself. I use this on my daughter. I use this on my goddaughter that's 9 months. Like I'm not going to use something every day if I don't believe in it. You know, that's why it's a personal thing to me. My product line is definitely as personal. It's not just something that I'm pushing for profit.
Talk to me about the process of starting to create a recipe and things like that, because I would Google something like how to make snickerdoodle cookies. Was that a similar process, or were you experimenting with different ingredients, or walk me through the start of the creation of this glorious substance?
Well, trying just different things over the years and just looking at like different components from other recipes, things that you can buy just like over the counter store bought things. I kind of figured out like what the most common things were. But something that tripped me out was like buying things that said that it was organic or natural, and you flip it over and there's 30 ingredients in like an 8-ounce jar. Why? Like that just makes no sense to me. Like, and then you don't know what half of these things are. You can't pronounce them. And then something I told people too, like they use multiple different words for alcohol. And if you read the back of labels, a lot of alcohol is in a lot of skincare products. Therefore, how you notice yourself reapplying all the time, because what alcohol does, it dries you out.
It dries you out.
Yeah. So, and they use like different words for it so people don't know. So that definitely was something that I wanted to shy away from. So just kind of looking at different products and then starting to read, do a lot of research, looking at like what was better versus this or that. And then growing up as an African American person, something that I think is big amongst all of us is the use of cocoa butter. Cocoa butter, it was not as big, I feel, years ago like it is now. People pushed a lot now for like scarring, pregnancy, stretch marks, things like that. But it's something that I've always used, like my whole entire life, my childhood. It's always been really good just for moisture. You know what I'm saying? Like not even looking at like all the other benefits, but moisture alone, like it would really help, and it was long lasting. So instead of doing the cocoa butter route, I wanted to look at more like raw organic. So that's why I ended up doing the shea butter. And for me, the shea butter, it locks in the moisture even more, which is a great thing. And then with coconut oil, like it has so much, like so many benefits for it. And both are things that you can use literally from head to toe. Like all my products, you can use on every part of your body pretty much. I have people that use the body butter when they flat iron their hair.
Oh, yeah?
Because it helps smooth it out. And I've done it myself actually too, and it works really well. It helps with flyaways, with static, any frizz that you may get from your hair. And then again, it just takes like a dime size and just rub it together on your hands and just rub your hands through your hair. Yeah. So it definitely, everything's pretty versatile.
You can get so much out of this little jar. I mean, it's just so impressive. And, and what I love about this is you're really connecting your own personal experiences to this, but then at the same time you're looking out for other people. Like you say, hey, you single mom out there, or you person of a limited income, or like you, any person, like you shouldn't be spending $200 a month on your skincare products. So here's a better product that not only will treat your skin better, but at the same time, it's going to save you a bunch of money. And that's so rare to have that combo.
And the thing is, it's just like, for me, like I tell people all the time, like it's very personal, and I'm not doing it just to make a buck. Like, yeah, I could add on a lot more to my products and sell them for higher. But it's just me personally, that's not what I want to do, because I have a lot of people that have skin issues. Like I have a lot of customers that suffer from psoriasis, which is also considered to be an autoimmune, and then eczema and just other like skin issues. And I don't want them to have to think like, okay, I'll just, use this when I have flare-ups. I don't want to buy it every day or like use it every day because it costs too much. I don't want people to have to think about stuff like that.
So you are a single mom. You have a full-time 9-to-5 job in medical billing. You're also going to school Davenport for entrepreneurship, kind of that. And then you're also running chocolate butter as a business. That's a lot, Jennifer Davis.
I know. And people laugh at me all the time. They was like, you act like you have all this time on your hands. And it's like, I like to be busy. So that's one thing. I do like to be busy. And my daughter, she keeps me extremely busy. So for me though, like chocolate butter, because people say all the time, like, aren't you overwhelmed? Like, that's a lot. For me, my chocolate butter is relaxing. Like I typically work on it at night. So it's kind of my way to decompress from the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like you work all day and then you rush home to make dinner. And, it's like I pick up my daughter from dance and I got to make sure she eats and does her homework and goes to bed on time, things like that. So it's like that time where the house is quiet, you know what I'm saying? And you want to decompress before you go to bed yourself. That's typically when I work on my chocolate butter. So it's not like it's work. It's not like it's a chore. It's something I love and enjoy doing. So it doesn't add like stress to my life, I feel. No.
I love the balance of that, because sometimes people have this impression about entrepreneurship that you have to quit your 9-to-5 and you have to go all in, or you're working your 9-to-5 and then for the next 12 hours after work until 4 a.m. You're slaving away on your own business. But it sounds like you've really achieved kind of obviously you're busy, but you've achieved a kind of a balance and an intention about these things that it's not, the chocolate butter is not overwhelming, because essentially some people watch Netflix for an hour. You're making chocolate butter for an hour. And so that's a cool balance. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. And then like, I'm one of those type of people anyway. I'm a scheduled type of person. And I feel like I kind of have to, because like I said, my daughter keeps me busy. She has like a ton of activities. And then like, yes, I am a single mom. So like we have appointments between the two of us, and then just working and things like that. So I am very kind of like structured to where like I plan out my day. I plan out my week. Like I know if I have like this coming up on the weekend, I need to make sure all my orders are good by, the weekend, so I don't have to worry about that too. So definitely like it does take a lot of planning. I don't think it's wrong for anyone to give up everything and like throw all their eggs in one basket for their business. A lot of people do that, and like I'm envious of their passion, and to have the balls to like risk it all like that, because that's a huge risk. Like when you leave your stable 9-to-5 where you have benefits, and you might have like retirement and things like that, and you're walking away from all that to start your own business venture, like that's huge. I haven't gotten to the point where like I have felt the need personally for myself to do that, and I don't know if I ever like exactly would, because I do enjoy what I do also. Like I love what I do in the medical field as well. So that'll always be kind of like a piece of me. And I told people, I was like, eventually once chocolate butter grows to the point where like I will have to probably focus more on that versus my 9-to-5, I still don't think I'll leave the medical field completely. Like if anything, I'll probably step down to part-time, or maybe do something where it's per diem, where I work like when needed, things like that. Yeah. So
talk to me about being a mom. You keep referencing your daughter. Tell me a little bit about your daughter. Tell me about your experience being a mom.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because everybody like they know like my daughter, like she's my everything. She's my only child. So we have a really special relationship.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, we're real tight. She goes to my former high school, Bay City Central. She is co-captain of the varsity dance team with one of her best friends, and another girl that she's gotten pretty close to.
Cool.
And then also she attends Perry Woodard here in Bay City, where she's on the competitive dance team. And I definitely, while I'm bringing them up, I kind of got a shout out to the dance studio. The owner, Janae Kramer, she has been a huge part of chocolate butter and it growing. Like I joke all the time and say like she's like my PR person, because like she's told so many people about my business, and she's been a faithful customer from the get-go, like from jump. And she just has spread the word, and she's done it for a lot of gifts, which kind of gets people hooked, and then they come back and buy themselves. And so I'm always like thanking her, and it's like
very cool.
Yeah. And then like our dance family and stuff, like when I first initially started, like they really were a huge part of chocolate butter growing. So that's one of those things that I love them dearly, and I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely is like a family, And I'm just grateful that my daughter too has those amazing examples that she works with every day. And she has a really good group of friends too, and family that she's gained from being a part of the dance world. Yeah. And we love it because like we travel to different competitions. My mom always goes with us. Every other year we do a nationals. So this past summer we actually went to Virginia Beach. And it was really nice. We turn it into a vacation, whatever we do in nationals. So we actually went for 10 days. We rented a townhouse, and my brother lives in Colorado. He lives in Denver. He met us out there. So it was a great family vacation. Like she danced for 5 days, and then 5 days were strictly just vacation. So it gives us the opportunity to travel more, because we do that anyways as a family, and we love that.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, she's a good kid. I love her. She's a good kid.
I'm at the beginning of my journey as a parent. I have two twin girls who are 6 months old, and then I have a very precocious 4-year-old daughter. Give me a little bit. Give me advice. Like you're obviously more experienced in it. You've been in it longer. Like give me some some tips. What does it take to be a good parent?
One of my biggest things was making sure my daughter has her voice. I've always told her, like, I want her to be, like outspoken like her mama.
Why is that important to you? Why is that an important value to you? Say you need to find your voice. You need to be outspoken.
Yes. Just as a female, because I feel like not just in the business world and me becoming an entrepreneur, but even before then, just as a female, as a minority female, especially, people feel like sometimes that you're not valued as much as other people, or that you're not as smart, you're not as put together, you're not as strong, things like that. So I just feel like when you find your voice and you're able to vocalize who you are, how you are, and why you are how you are, I feel that people learn really quickly that, okay, yes, this is, an intelligent woman, and that's one of those things, like, I want to be known as someone that is not ran over, because like I went through situations where I was with my past relationship, like I went into it being Jenny D, and I was like this strong girl that people knew, like there were certain things I just didn't play about, and I was outspoken, I was kind of tough, I went into it as that. But in those 7.5 years, I tell people all the time, I truly lost myself, completely lost myself. I've been out of that relationship now for just over 2 years, and it literally took probably over a year for me to even find who I was again. And then in the 1.5 years since then, I've been kind of molding back to who I've always been. I just don't want my daughter to have to go through those type of situations. Like, don't lose your voice. Always stick true to who you are, and don't let anyone compromise that.
Let's dive into this, the relationship a little bit. And I want to talk about specifically 2 things, because I think there's an opportunity here for maybe other women experiencing a similar situation. They're in a relationship that they're either beginning to realize, like, this is not good for me, or they've realized it, but they don't necessarily know how to exit that relationship.
Yeah.
And every relationship is different. Every person's different. But from your perspective, what was something that helped you say, I need to leave?
Well, I would have to say, first off, it was the grace of God. Like, anyone that knows me knows that my faith is very strong in who I am. It's a big aspect of how I am the way I am. And I've been raised in the same church my whole entire life. And that's also where I'm raising my daughter, in the same church. And so I'm very strong in my faith. It took a lot of prayer. There were, like I tell people all the time, like, a piece of me felt like I wasn't going to make it out alive. It was to the point where, like, it was so stressful and emotionally draining that I was physically ill. Like, there were days that I was like, I'm not going to make it out of this alive. Like, I feel like this is honestly killing me. Like, I remember the days sitting on the bathroom floor and just crying and getting sick at the same time. Like, I remember those days, and just going through so much turmoil, like, in such a, I wouldn't say short amount of time, because it wasn't short, but it seems like when things got bad, it got really bad really quick. So that was real difficult. And
I'm going to jump in there, and not to interrupt you, but because right now I know people are listening to this or watching this and people who have not experienced a relationship like this, and they're thinking in their heads right now, well, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just get in the car and never come back? Or he comes home from work and you say, we're done, and then you peace out. Why don't you just do that? And I want you to talk about that specifically for those people who are thinking, well, why don't you just pack up and leave? Because it's something that so many people within abusive relationships, men and women alike, can instantly relate to. But if you're not in that situation, you're thinking, well, just peace out and go.
Right. And it's funny that you say that, because I was that person that would tell that to other people.
Right.
Until I got into, like, the situation myself.
And that's the advice a lot of us, we mean well.
Right.
That's the advice a lot of us give. Like, well, you know that it's wrong, and you know he's not right for you. You should just leave, when that you're speaking a different language. So talk to me about that.
It was difficult to make that decision because there were kids involved. And it was hard to make the decision because of them. But then I had to think about my daughter. I made the decision because of her, in a way too, because I don't want her to grow up thinking that that was a healthy relationship to be in. And now that she is 16, we can talk a lot more about that because like with being 16 and being more mature and stuff like that, she understands more deeply of why things happened the way they did and why I left like I did, things like that. So I just didn't want her to grow up thinking that that was okay. Like I want her to have a healthy relationship. I don't want her to have to go through like what I went through. So I would have to say that was like the hardest part of making the decision. And then too, like when you live with someone, it's like we had this big house that we search forever to find, you know, and it's like when you live someone and you mold together or like group together just items and property, just things like that, it's not just so easy to walk away. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to finally decide to walk away and literally start my life over. And when I mean start over, I didn't take anything but my daughter's bedroom stuff and all of our clothes and things like that. I didn't take TVs. I didn't take furniture. I didn't take appliances, none of that. I walked away from everything. And he tried to give me items, like high price items and stuff like that. And I was like, no, I'm good. And he was like, why not? And I was like, because you will never come back and say what you did for me. I was like, no. I was like, I'll get my own. So I literally like started from scratch, like furniture, appliance, like everything, like literally started my life over and walked away from everything.
If you had a chance to talk to men or women in a similar bad relationship, what would you say to them?
My best advice would be to go with your gut instinct. Something that I did multiple times during my relationship was confront him about different situations. And I was constantly lied to. But deep down, I knew like, okay, you should have left then, or you should have left then, you should have left then. You know, like there were so many red flags. And typically when you get a gut feeling about something, your gut's right. And I used to be someone that always listened to that. But like I said, I lost myself in that 7.5-year relationship. I lost everything about who I was. So I wasn't that person anymore that looked at things like that. I was just kind of someone like, oh, well, it'll get better. You know, like I just kept holding out, oh, it'll get better, or it's okay, or maybe it's my fault. Maybe I did that. Maybe I didn't do this, you know, like things like that. So definitely I would have to say, go with your gut instinct. And I feel like when you have kids and when things are deeper like that, yes, you give it like the old college try, but like, once it gets to the point where you have discussed your issues and there's not change, you need to plan your exit. Because if you discuss your issues and voice to this person why you feel the way you do, if they love you enough, they will try to rectify that situation. If they don't, or if they're just a narcissist, if they just have abusive behavior, whatever may have you, they're not going to. And they're not going to look at it as they're wrong. So definitely I feel like just go with your gut instinct.
So here you are, I believe you said 2 years.
Yep, just over
2 years. You've left this relationship that was not good for you. You've started this business. How are you feeling about things now? I mean, you talked about literally starting your life over from scratch 2 years ago. How are you feeling now about things?
Definitely, I'm grateful. Like, I won't lie and say that everything's like been perfect these past couple of years.
Right.
I've gone through a lot of different trials, a lot of different hardships. There were a lot of ups and high ups, but then really lows, you know? And I still just look back though, things would have been a lot worse if I would have stayed. We would have been like 9.5, almost 10 years in now. Things would have been a lot worse if I would have stayed. So I don't regret it at all, but it was a learning experience and it was tough work. Like I had to do a lot of soul searching and work on myself. And something I did was, I have a friend of mine that we met a long time ago, like when I first had my daughter. We worked together and that's how we met. And then like we kind of like lost contact. We reconnected when I was like in the middle of my last relationship. She's a minister and she's also a life coach. So I started meeting with her on the professional level, and then like we're still friends to this day as well. But I would have to say, going through my situation and having her as a life coach also helped me a lot. I am one of those people that I'm very big on your mental health. I'm all for therapy, counseling, life coaches. I'm all for that because sometimes we can't always do it ourselves. I had so much trauma from that relationship that I had to go through and try to heal from. So I feel like that's why too, like going to see a life coach like really helped me through that whole situation. And because we're friends as well, there were times where like I didn't have an appointment and had like a complete breakdown and called her and she would talk to me like over the phone and things like that. It was definitely a big tool in me gaining the strength and the knowledge to be able to leave that relationship and then to heal from that relationship, because sometimes the after effects and the healing from it is just as bad as still being in it. And like I said, it's been just over 2 years. And I feel like within the past year is when I really made that turnaround. Because being with someone for that long, even though we weren't married, we lived as such and we were together for so long, you have soul ties. And those soul ties are some of the hardest things to break when things go the way they did. So it took a lot of physical, mental, and spiritual healing to get me to where I am now.
I love that you bring up this the aspect of having somebody to talk to, of getting some kind of outside help. In every situation where you could be mentally struggling, it's so important to reach out and get help in some capacity, whether it's a family member you know that you can trust, a professional therapist, a life coach, anybody. There's so many people willing to help you and wanting to help you that if you feel like you're isolated or you don't have the tools or you've gone through something traumatic, please get help. And it's absolutely not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's very much a sign of strength.
Yes, it is.
For you to approach another person and say, I cannot deal with this by myself. I need you to help me. I mean, man, like the amount of fortitude, of inner strength that you have to have in order to approach somebody and say, I have something I need help with. It's just incredible. So if you're watching this or listening to it, please start the process in any sort of little baby step that you need to start it. Reach out to somebody and get help.
Right. And there's so many resources available. And in this day and age, with technology and social media and things like that, you don't even have to leave your home a lot of times to be able to consult with someone or to have sessions. You know, it's like just in the world and how it is now, like I feel almost that everyone you should have those little mental checks. You know, it's like things can be going well and you still may need to check in at times with someone. I definitely think it's a good thing to do, and it helped me. It helped heal me a lot. And if it wasn't for all those aspects, I don't know where I would be today.
Part of where you're at today is you recently joined the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, Minority Business Partnership. That's how I got to know you. I was at a chamber eye-opener breakfast. They were doing a panel, and I was like, oh, I have to talk to her. You talk to me about the woman-led business scene here in Bay City, minority-owned business scene here in Bay City, because I have some thoughts that, man, the woman-led business scene here in Bay City and the surrounding area is just taking off. You think of so many amazing entrepreneurs, and it's a woman. It's It's super, super cool. Talk to me about being part of that scene.
It is amazing to be part of this group of these strong women and minorities here in Bay City and in the tri-state area, like alone, you know. It's one of those things, especially here in town, because I'm born and raised in Bay City, so I'm very familiar with a lot of people. I never had a clue on how many women-owned businesses were here until I really got into this world. And it's just amazing. There's some women entrepreneurs here that own multiple businesses. They own multiple businesses, their wives and moms. I'm like, girl, you my shero. Like, really? Because I'm like, how do you even manage all this? Right? But it's just like I've learned so much being around these other women as well. One of the things with chocolate butter, my big, like one of my dreams and goals was to be available in a storefront downtown. I didn't want my own storefront. I don't think I'll ever like jump to that, but I wanted to be available locally. So Amy Miller, who owns Believe Inspire Beauty Boutique Uptown Bay City, her and Cody O'Mara that owns Old Macaroon, they went together and started a shop where it's the two of them with both their businesses, and they have multiple other female entrepreneurs that are located in their business as well. It's located here downtown Bay City at 906 Washington, and it's definitely like to be part of that feels amazing. Like it's so cool to have like this one building, this one shop where there's so many women-owned businesses and we're all doing something different. Like there's a few clothing boutiques, but they all have different things. You know what I'm saying? It's different in different aspects. And then there's jewelry. There's my skincare line. There's another skincare line where she actually owns a farm, and a lot of her products are made with goat milk. And I've bought some of her products as well. Like her shower steamers were just like amazing. And it's so cool to see all of us women like doing this together. Like I tell Amy and Cody all the time, like I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be part of that, because it's to me like it's just something amazing. Like I just absolutely love it. And then to be in the business world like as a minority, one of my really good friends, like I've known him forever, Ali Smith, he's a realtor here in Bay City. He is our chairman of the Minority Business Partnership, and he's part of the reason why I got involved in that and then in the chamber. And he's been a huge, big part in helping Chocolate Butter grow as well. And something that we talk about all the time because we're both parents. He has kids as well. And we want to do this not only for our generation and for ourselves, but especially for our kids. We want to leave a legacy. My big thing is I want my daughter to see other females that look like her doing positive things in the community. And that's something that he said as well. Like he wants his kids and other young men and young women here in the community to see someone that looks like them in the community doing positive things. And that's why I try to give back when I can. I do a lot of donations for different silent auctions for different organizations and things like that, because I want to be able to give back to the community that helped raise me. Because like I said, like I'm very passionate about being born and raised here in Bay City. I will never forget where I came from. I don't know where the future holds for me, but even if I do leave the Tri-Cities, I will definitely leave something here from Chocolate Butter, because this is where it started. And this will always be my home. So I'm proud to be from here. I'm extremely proud to be from here. And I'm proud to see how things are going in the business world here downtown. Like this summer, there's so many cool events that are coming to town during the summer months. Like there's something going on literally like every weekend. Even during the week, you know, after work, you can come down here and there's something going on. And it just every year it seems like it's getting bigger and bigger. And now that COVID has kind of backed off a bit and we've been able to like completely like start reopening and doing more things, it's just beautiful to see how things are growing here.
To close this, we're gonna do something fun because I think that you can roll with it. I'm just so interested by you. I've got this deck of cards. On the deck of cards, there's kind of statements.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna have you pick a random card, and you'll just read the statement. And when you have an answer in mind, I would love to hear your answer. Okay.
Cool.
So there's your deck of cards. She's spreading them around on the table. I'm really intrigued to see what card you get. So here we go.
So if I could whisper something in the ear of my younger self, I would say, ooh.
And you can take as long as you want to think.
I love this.
I like that card too.
Ooh. Ooh, I know. Yeah, definitely. I would say to my younger self, stay true to you. Stay true to you.
Tell me more about that.
Despite anything that happens, stay true to you. like I said before, just being in my previous relationship, and I would have to say like not even just that relationship, but even like friendships over the years, and especially in those difficult years of junior high and high school, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you may conform in a certain way to like fit in with other people, but it's like never to change who you are for anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like you're perfect just the way that God made you. If he wanted you to be a certain way, he would have made you that way. So that to me is like a huge thing. Just never change who you are. Never change who you are for anyone. I did that, and it took a long time to find me again and to get me back. So it's not worth the sacrifice. It's not worth putting yourself on the sideline to make someone else happy. It's not about that. It should be about you. It's not. I had to learn that myself. Like, it's about taking care of you. It's about self-care, whether it be relaxing, reading, writing, going to get a massage, just, sitting there taking a mental checklist. It's about you. So you have to really channel into that sometimes and find time to be selfish, but just don't lose who you are. Stay true to you.
Don't change who you are, but you can, however, have more beautiful skin with chocolate butter. If people are listening to this or watching it, where can they go to get your stuff?
Well, first off, my main form is on Facebook. I have my Facebook shop set up. I don't charge a lot for shipping either. That's another big thing with me. My shipping is only $5.99. It doesn't matter how big the order or whatever, because that's another thing. Like I just can't see myself charging like $10 for shipping, which a lot of like smaller places do. And I get it, but it's just something I prefer not to do. So, but if you don't want to purchase online, like I said before, I'm available at 906 Washington Avenue, which is downtown Bay City, at the Believe Inspired Beauty Petite Plus on macaroons. And when you come in there, you definitely need to check out some of the other vendors in there as well. Like it's a very nice shop. It was such a great ideal, such a beautiful concept, and I would love to see more things like that here in Bay City. And then also to watch out on our Facebook and Instagram page. You'll want to go follow us. My Instagram is JMD Chocolate Butter. And then Facebook is just simply chocolate butter. It pops up first. It's the only one out there. Follow us for sure, because any events that I do, because I like to do a lot of vendor shows or craft shows, things like that in the area, I post them prior to on our site. So just keep checking things out, and you can find where I'm going to be at, at different events. And I always have samples available. So if you want to try something, but you haven't had the chance to, you can always do that as well.
Very cool. Jennifer Davis, it's been so good talking to you. It's been also so good seeing like the buzz around you and what you're doing, just kind of picking up steam, seeing your face all over the place is amazing. So I wish you the best in your business.
Thank you so much.
I hope that you give the world beautiful skin for not expensive prices, which is an amazing mission. So I wish you the best at Chocolate Butter, and thanks so much for the conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm just so happy that we were able to finally do this. It's been great.
Cut. Cool. Sweet. Loved it.